This is Patrick Kelly. I'm with Digital Watchdog. And this morning I have Joe Kale with us. Joe, are you there?
I am. Hey, Patrick.
All right. Good morning. So this morning we're going to be talking about our V7 series, our ultra low profile vandal domes. So we wanted to go through that product line, kind of point out a couple of things. So let's just roll through a quick little agenda here. We're going to, for those of you that don't know about Digital Watchdog, we're going to do a quick little introduction of Digital Watchdog, and then we're going to introduce you to the MEGApix V7 series. We're going to talk about a feature in some of the cameras called with the built-in microphone. And then we've got a good segment about our IVA and IVA Plus to kind of explain the IVA in the camera. And we'll get into that and how it works with DW Spectrum. And of course, at the end, we'll do a Q&A and wrap up. This is being recorded. It will be posted on our website. We do encourage you to submit any questions through the Zoom interface. We'll try to answer the questions at the end during the wrap up, but if we can't answer them in time or we don't have the answer, we'll get back to you via email. But by all means, ask all the questions you like. And then of course, on our website, we have all of our upcoming webinars posted, as well as all the recorded webinars on the same page in the university section of the website. So, okay, let's just get into it as far as, why Digital Watchdog. And we talk about Digital Watchdog being a leading manufacturer of video surveillance products, been in business since 1987. We have facilities in Southern California out of Cerritos, as well as Tampa, Florida, which is where I'm based out of. And then we have our manufacturing facilities in South Korea and Vietnam. And so, as a lot of you know, we work on a complete video solution, an end-to-end video solution, and all of our products are manufactured both in South Korea, Vietnam, and Taiwan. So they're compatible or compliant with the NDAA. And so they're also available to be used on GSA schedules. All right. So our product lines, the company really started with the VMAX product and greatly expanded with the DW Spectrum product and our MEGApix lineup and getting all those things to work. Probably need to update this as we come out with new and exciting things towards the end of this year, as we move more and more towards the MyDW and the cloud experience. We'll get there. And we've got a lot of people. So Joe is our sales engineer, part of a team that we brought on to support you in the pre and post sale support role. Kind of works with our regional sales managers as well as our manufacturers representatives. If you're out there and you're listening to this presentation and you don't know who any of these people are for your region, they're on our website. You can do a quick little zip code search. By all means, if that doesn't work, you can always email me and I can get you in touch with the person in your area. All of these people have product on hand, ready to go for you to test and evaluate and check out and train and present and so forth. So the field staff is ready to go and ready to support you out there. We also have a number of resources on our website, both, and we'll get into that at the end here as far as installation videos and documentation. Our knowledge base continues to grow on a daily basis with new articles and as our technical support identifies issues and comments, and we work to document that and increase the knowledge base. And of course, DW University, through this pandemic, we've had our online learning center at the DW University with our DW Spectrum certification, and we're working on expanding that. And, one of the things that we did during the pandemic was we remodeled the Tampa office. So we have a whole new training center there. So we look forward to releasing a training schedule here shortly. And invite you to come down and check out Tampa and get certified on DW Spectrum. So look for that in the coming weeks here. And finally, we'll talk about our channel partner program. And so this has been a great success. If anybody's not involved in this, you need to get on our website and enroll. Working with the certification and the training, And so we can kind of work together to build the business. And we're doing that with our channel partners. And we encourage you to join our partner program. Last week, we introduced our current promotion in the partner program, being the nonprofit giveaway that we're currently taking nominations on. So you want to go on the website and check that out and nominate your favorite nonprofit today. All right, so let's talk about the V7 series. And when we're talking about the V7 series,
All right.
Joe, you want to jump in on here on this one?
Yeah, sure do. Thanks, Patrick. So yeah, let's talk about an exceptional V7 camera line. We have to offer that is ultra low profile, includes an IP67, IK10 rating. It's a 5-year warranty. It's also NDAA compliant. With this line of camera, you'll be able to offer your customers a high megapixel resolution in a low profile format, which just fits in just every vertical market, if you think about it, from even the government, it's NDAA compliant, grow factories, police stations, it's very useful for have that low profile in a corner. Maybe they just don't want individuals to kind of, hey, that's camera. Another thing about this line is we didn't leave anything out. We have our IVA analytics on the camera. We also include the Starlight Plus, for that near, color and darkness and true wide dynamic range where it's needed. And something cool about this as well is we offer an option, an accessory where you can paint a decorative ring and put around that. So where you have those, let's say, retail areas or hospital or memory cares, they have artwork that's on the wall and they color these walls. For instance, I'm in a hotel, they have blue walls. So they want to blend these cameras in. And this also takes away that you don't have to run tape around a dome, tape it off and then paint it and then worry about any type of warranty coverage. And the other thing about this product is that it's easy to install it. So from a fast and simple installation, we have our card here where you can put it on the wall, tape it there, or in this case, if you have a drop ceiling, I'm using the security tool just to mark my holes. And by us providing you those accessories with this camera from mounting, let alone on a drop ceiling, you just pop those screws on the back, poke your holes right into that drop ceiling, screw on the locking wheel, and you're set, you're done. So it's a very simple and quick installation in most cases. In a lot of cases, we do see, drop ceilings is the most common out there from a quick install. Now, the other thing, let's get into those rings. Being able to offer you guys a option to be able to paint. You get 5 rings in a pack. So maybe this customer likes to change out their area. There's an actual restaurant in Indiana, and they're actually kind of all over the place. But what they do is they have children come in and they will paint their ceiling tiles. They'll give them a ceiling tile, they'll paint it up and put it up there. So maybe they want to continue using that camera in that area, but they want it to blend in. So knowing that you have options and you can leave these with your customer. Maybe they like to change out the decor. Holiday seasons come around. They want to put, a tree in that area, but they also want that camera to still blend in and not stand out. So those are all great things with this line of camera, to have options and additional accessories to be used, from all different types of mounting. So Patrick, can you tell us a little bit more about the line, the V series line, and what's going on there?
Yeah, let's go through the line. So we've got the V7 series is available both in a 5 megapixel and a 2.1 megapixel. We have 3 lens options, 2.8 megapixel, or excuse me, 2.8 millimeter, 4 millimeter, or 6 millimeter. So you've got a nice wide lens option there with a 2.8, both in a 5 megapixel and 2.1. The other differentiating between the lineup there is the IVA and the IVA Plus. We're going to dig into that more later, as we mentioned. But so all of our cameras are available with IVA, and then there's an upgrade model that has the P in the model number there, which is going to have the IVA Plus. As you see, these cameras are IP67 rated. They're IK10 for impact resistance. So they're not only are they a low profile, ultra low profile. Those rings snap on really easily. They paint really easily. You snap the ring on, you're good to go. It installs very easily, but yet it's still a vandal resistant camera. And then we have the full lineup of accessories for it as well: wall mount brackets, ceiling mounts, and so forth. So you've got that in both the 5 megapixel and the 2.1. You'll see the 2.1s there. The MV72WI28A TW is going to have a built-in microphone. So we'll get into that in just a little bit here and discuss that for a couple slides. But we've got that available also in IVA and IVA Plus. And then finally, we've got some additional cameras without microphones at 2.1 megapixel, but priced really well. We have no inventory issues on these items. We've got plenty, and I mean plenty, of inventory available and ready to ship. So these are ready to go. There's no supply chain issues with any of these. And as I mentioned, the items there in red are on sale. This is just one of the sales that you'll find out there. But we've got a couple hundred of these cameras available and ready to go with IVA Plus, and you'll see the value of IVA Plus here in a moment. But then that is MSRP. So as a channel partner, you just apply your channel partner discount to those MSRPs. So on sale, ready to ship, and available today. And now we're going to get into the 2.1 megapixel with the built-in mic. So Joe, why don't you explain the microphone on board the camera?
Oh yeah. So, with having this microphone, built in, this is great for interrogation rooms. Okay. Your police departments, your retail sector. I mean, when they are catching those individuals, pulling them in, police are coming in, now they have that audio recorded right into either the Spectrum or VMAX. So now you have a camera that's still going to be a wide angle, vandal resistance, still, ultra low profile, hidden away in a corner or on a wall, that is very discreet. Okay. And having that additional, option for your customer is going to be great. I mean, a lot of times we want to hear what's going on, but in a lot of cases, this camera is really designed for those tight corners. You really want to have an individual close in that room, is where it's designed for. And when we get into what we're getting ready to release, our Spectrum Gen 5, you're going to be able to associate this recording to another destination. So when you need two-way audio, now you'll be able to have that camera in an area, maybe it's a front door entryway, that you're asking, someone's there, you're listening in, and be able to transmit that back to another camera to use that two-way audio.
Okay.
So
go ahead, Joe. Sorry.
No, that was it. I want to hear more about the IVA line. If you can talk about that.
Yeah, so let's dig into IVA here a little bit and explain IVA. So what we're talking about is intelligent video analytics running on board the camera on the edge. And so we have, as I've mentioned in the series lineup there, we have 2 flavors of IVA. We have IVA and IVA Plus. Now, these are available on all our cameras, not on a lot of our cameras, I should say, the majority of our cameras, from 2 megapixel to 4K. You're just looking for that IVA or IVA Inside logo or I'll show you the difference in terms of the part numbers here in just a second. As I mentioned, similar to the audio, we have a designation in the part number for IVA plus. So, this is designed to detect people and vehicles, so detect objects at the edge. And so when we look at our base lineup, which we refer to as IVA, it includes 7 algorithms to detect and classify objects at the edge, running on board the camera. So you have things like intrusion and loitering and line crossing, the tamper, the exit, the enter, all running on the camera itself. So the big thing here is that it's license-free, edge-based analytics. So you don't have to do anything other than what we're about to show you in the setup to get these analytics running. You don't have to install anything extra. You don't have to purchase any additional licensing. It's right on board the camera, ready to go. Now, when we look at the IVA Plus lineup, it includes those 7 algorithms that are in the base lineup, but it adds an additional 7 more algorithms, okay? And so it has things like tailgating and object removed and appear and disappear on board the camera. So you can run those on the camera itself. But in addition to that, it also has a unique feature called logical rules. And so what logical rules allow us to do is combine those algorithms. So for even greater efficiency, so we're talking about, reducing false alarms here. And when we talk about the efficiency of it, that you're using these algorithms to clearly identify when a person is in an area after hours, for instance. And so logical rules gives us the ability to combine these algorithms. So that's really the value add of IVA Plus, is that it includes the base analytics. It adds 7 additional algorithms to those analytics, and then you have the ability to combine them using logical rules. And as you can see there on the left, all of our cameras have a P designation right after the megapixel designation in the part number, and that's what's indicating that it's an IVA Plus camera. So you'll have the same model available with IVA. That's the base model, or you'll have it as IVA Plus, which is what the P in the model number is indicating. Okay, so now we're going to get into how to set up an IVA camera. Joe, why don't you explain how easy it is to set up?
Yeah, so when you're setting up an IVA camera, it is pretty easy to do this. So there's 3 things that you really need to know after you install the camera. One, you really need to know what is the true height of that camera, from floor to ceiling or floor to wall. How high is that up? And from there, you're also going to need to get a general idea, what is the tilt of that lens? Okay, so you're going to have to make some adjustments. But what I typically do is I kind of get those base numbers, set those in, and you see these little mimics. That's what we call them. We call them mimics, or some call them minions. But we can move these guys around and say, where do we expect a person to enter, or where do we want to detect them? So for instance, there's a hallway to the right. As they walk through, I want to be able to see that's a detection. Further down the hallway, I want to be able to say, okay, there's a person that would walk down there. So when we have those and we set them, we have that first part. The next thing would be our classification. Now, we do this with IVA, it's pixel based. So we have to define a person as the number of pixels. So if I am walking through an area, I'm able to say, okay, Joe is roughly 5 square footage. He is about 5'7", 5'8". Now, as other people walk through, there's a lot of people taller or shorter than me. So we need to kind of get an idea and make those adjustments based on the square footage. And we do that under the classification side. Now, when we move from there and we have our classification, we can go into our rules. And rules is really easy, because all you're doing is you're going down, clicking add, and now you get this box, or you can do a line cross. And it's easy to move these little bubbles around to the area where you need that rule to detect. So here I selected intrusion, and as I move these bubbles around, I can add additional bubbles just by hitting the gray one. and then I can, move it ideally to the scene. So when we have those rules created, from either intrusion, a line crossing, enter, exit, it really depends on the model that you have, if you have an IVA or if you have the IVA plus. And within here, now we just create a rule and we said, that's great. Someone enters there. It doesn't matter what it is. So if your customer has a cat or a dog, we can define cat or dog if you can figure out the square footage of that. But we want to actually do our object filter based on a person. And what you would do is you would select on for object filter and identify if I want to be this rule for only a person identification, or maybe I want it as a line crossing on a major road or an area of a parking lot. I would want to turn on, I just want to be notified for vehicles. So that's where you would, make that adjustment. Now, the next thing would be our logical rules. So here is an ideal way of, I have a line that I have already created. We see IVAs really outside, okay? And this is why you would want a logical rule. Because when you have the customer who says, I want to be notified when an individual is in my parking lot after hours. Well, today, we only have motion to send a push notification or notify that customer. Here, we're able to say, if someone person crosses a line and they come into, let's say, an entry box, then that's a notification. But if I have a jogger who's just running through the area, but they don't really come up to, they cross that line, but they don't really come up to the building, then I don't really need to be notified. So that's where you would create that logical rule, is you're really classifying and defining what the customer is expecting out of the product. So they're not getting those false alarms or seemingly like a false alarm. Now, when you have these IVAs, you need to create a trigger action. So within Spectrum, you're able to go in and create a rule. And for in this case, what we do is we're saying, I'm going to create an event. And I can actually set a schedule for that event. Customers probably don't want to know constantly all the time a person is walking across that line, and they only want to know based on a schedule. So we're able to do this within Spectrum. Now from here, after we have defined our time zone, or timing that we want to be notified, we're going to also figure out, what does the customer want? Do they want to get a push notification? Maybe they just want alarm output. Maybe they have a guard shack and they want to be notified. So a lot of times when you're just sitting there, you're doing other things, you don't notice it. So we're able to create this rule based on how the customer wants to be informed of the event. So the next thing is, for instance, an alarm layout. So we created a rule of a person who enters into this area, crosses into this intrusion, and we're popping up an alarm layout, which forces whoever is using the system to acknowledge that. So they have acknowledged that, yes, a person has walked through or came close to our parking lot, and we want to investigate. We may need to investigate it further, especially the large area of catalytic converters that are, major at this point. This is something you would want to install. Definitely an IVA plus with an alarm layout to notify and make sure the customer is going back through and saying, yes, I confirm these are all good, or we need to investigate this further. Now, from that, we can also create non-detection zones. Keep in mind, analytics, they do a lot of things. They're always thinking. So from a non-detection zone, for instance, we have, trees out there. I always use the movie My Cousin Benny. There's this thing called trees, and they have leaves and they move around, and it's pixel based. So it may detect. So what we like to do is say, let's create a non-detection zone and let's block out that area. Very similar when you set up motion detection for notification or alerts or recording, you're going to zero out sensitivity within Spectrum or even a VMAX line. You want to say, I'm trying to get the most out of this. So by setting a non-detection zone is ideal in a lot of cases, especially for your outdoors. Now, also from this is within the rules, we have a lot of options here. So do we want to do a notification? Do we want to bookmark this for someone to look at later? You know, we can do things like turn a PTZ. There is a motion. So let's zoom that PTZ over and see, you know, what vehicle is pulling in. Maybe it's an audible output, you know, hey, leave the area, you know, because we detected a person after hours based on the customer schedule. So keep them, there's a lot that you can do within Spectrum. There's so many options. And especially if you have a guard who is there, you know, late at night, we've all seen it. We've all seen the videos of someone sleeping and not paying attention. We can actually have Spectrum speak to that individual to wake them up that something is going on. Okay, so there's a lot of options there. But with that, we also have the capability of push notifications, right? Everybody wants to be notified immediately. They want to know when that vehicle pulls in, that cross that line, enter that box, didn't just pull in halfway of the drive and then backed out and still cross that line. We want to know that information. It's really big right now for our customers. So to do this, you need to make sure when you're using Spectrum, you need to make sure that you have this connected to the cloud. That way they're able to get those push notifications. And that is what makes this product, this low profile IVA, IVA Plus, you know, with paintable ring adapters to hide this camera, to be very discreet, paired with Spectrum. It's a great line to have in your tool belt.
So keep in mind, you know, we talk about the new Gen 5 version of Spectrum that is soon to be released here in the next couple of days. There's a number of things that we can trigger off of that IVA in addition to the actions that Joe just talked about. So now in the recording, we have the metadata-driven recording options. So on the record schedule, where it used to be just motion-based, we've added an object tab. So you can actually start recording off of objects. So when a person is detected in the area, you want to start recording. You can set it up to do based off of objects. You can also combine it, motion and objects. So you get a number of different options there now in the record schedule to work with. In addition to that, the search is going to be a lot easier in terms of, now that you're using an analytic camera and you're generating metadata, that metadata then becomes attributes that are searchable, and there's a new search window. So in that right panel of Spectrum, you have the object tab, which we have in the current version. When you click into the advanced section, you'll get a pop-up window, and that pop-up window will allow you to filter that search a little bit easier. So you don't have to work just in that right panel. You can also work in the pop-up. And again, those attributes are going to be based on the analytics that are running on board and what's available in terms of the metadata that's going to show up. But you can filter and search through that even easier now with the new object search, the advanced object search pop-up. Joe spent a little bit of time talking about the rules, and we have the ability now to do an event like the pop-up that he showed in the video there. But in Gen 5, there'll be an object detected rule option as well, so event option. So you can select that, hey, when a vehicle is in an area, versus when a person is in an area. So the object type and the attributes are able to be defined easier and quicker to when you want to send that mobile notification or whatever the action is that you want to apply off of that inside of Spectrum. So even more capabilities in that rule engine that Joe was talking about. And then we get the ability in the backup option in Gen 5, we get the ability to back up based on objects. And this is you know, a long time coming and a very exciting new feature is the ability to back up on motion or objects or bookmarks. So you can select where you don't have to back up everything. So we can really filter out that, hey, I'm, you know, instead of having to, you know, have a storage location to handle everything, I can have a storage location optimized of just the events that I'm looking for, whether it's motion events or object events. If I've created bookmark rules, all the video that I tag, if I'm tagging that video automatically as part of the, you know, an IVA event comes in, it gets tagged as a bookmark, you can send that. Or, you know, or if it's a, you know, third-party device, third-party data coming in, you can bookmark it. And then you've got the combinations of that. So in the server settings, you have a whole new menu tab there for the backup option. Once you enable a drive location as a backup, you have a whole new tab there to select the camera and select what you want to back it up. So you can filter this by camera that, hey, on this particular camera, I want the motion events versus this other camera, I want the object events, or I want a combination of those. That's what the last three is there. So really exciting because it really adds functionality to optimize the backup capability and make it much more efficient when you're doing that. And then what we wanted to always remind you in, you know, we're talking about the V7 series cameras, the ultra low profile domes. Those are part of our double down. So our channel partners enjoy enhanced margins with this. Again, if you're not part of our channel partner program, you want to enroll on our portal site. But, you know, keep in mind all the V7s, they include for every two that you purchase, you get a Spectrum license included with that purchase through the double down. That's part of our channel partner program. So by all means, you want to check that out because you're saving, you know, $152 worth of cost in terms of that you're able to improve your margins because you're still able to charge for that recording license, but you're getting it as part of using the camera. So there's some real value add to that. You know, one of the things when we talked about DW and all the things that we're putting on our website, knowledge base. So we've got knowledge base articles in regards to setting up IVA. So everything that Joe talked about has been documented and is available on our website. So if you ask your regional sales manager, they can provide you a PDF copy of this presentation. All of these links work in that PDF, and so you can get right to. So if there's questions about the smart search or the dewarping, we've got videos on that. You know, we've got explanations on how to set up our cameras and so forth. So you definitely want to check that out, as well as some of our other PowerPoints where we've got lots of links to resources and training that's available there. So our guys can come in, do on-site training. You can come to our training facilities, get trained, or you can get online and use the resources that are available there. So with that being said, we wanted to open it up to any questions. I saw a couple of questions in here, one of them regarding the logical rules and can it be set for a flag? And yeah, the flags and palm fronds and things like that. Those are, and that's part of the reason for the non-detect zones. So yeah, absolutely. You know, you can combine algorithms. The big thing about logical rules is the ability to be able to combine algorithms. I think Joe had a good example in terms of you know, coming into an area and crossing a line, kind of a combination of those to be able to alarm when it meets both conditions rather than just one condition. So it's not just a motion based, it's even more than that. Another question regarding, sorry, Joe, did you want to expand on that?
And I was, especially like you just mentioned on Gen 5 being released is, you know, you can do that based on, hey, I just want to record on object detection, you know, or if I want to do just on, you know, motion and object, that's going to help with your storage, you know, right there, you know, for that classification. Because You're absolutely right. Every flag that I see, that motion event on the grass or on the concrete, and it's like when Gen 5 comes out, it's going to help those areas, especially in the K-12 and some commercial locations as well.
So I saw a question regarding alarm inputs. And so in terms of on the V7 series itself, no, it doesn't have a microphone and an alarm input combination. But the second slide there, when we talk about the microphone, is the ability to audio map between devices. So that frees it up that if you have another device with an alarm input, or if you're using an IO module, you can link those together easily through the rules engine there with that. Another question that came up is, can this be done off-site? So keep in mind, I'm in Tampa. The camera that you're looking at on screen is in our California facility, right? And so I'm just coming in here, and I'm going into my camera settings, and I'm going into the web page. So I'm actually, let's see. But I can get into, if I have the password, and I've got to go look for Chris's email to find this. But I can get into the web page of the camera if I have the password, and all of that programming that Joe is doing, I could do that right from here in Tampa for this camera in California. So can it be done offsite? Yeah, absolutely. And the beauty of DW Cloud is that you can connect the system to DW Cloud in seconds without having to do any kind of network port configuration. You simply just come into the system administration and connect the system to DW Cloud using the DW Cloud tab there, and you've got the system available without having to open up any ports or firewalls or configurations. So yes, it can be done. We got a big long question. I think we're going to have to come back to that one. Okay, well, Mark, we'll deal with your question individually. Do all the cameras work? And yes, all of the cameras work in spectrums. They're all tied into Spectrum. Yeah, so there's a question about, can you turn the audio off? And I know this was something that was occurred, that if Spectrum saw the audio in and audio out, it would automatically put a microphone there, even though you hadn't necessarily enabled it. So one of the things that's new in Gen 5 is that if you haven't enabled the audio, there is no microphone or speaker box here. It isn't until you come in here and enable the audio and hit apply that you'll get the microphone popped in there. Okay, I think I had to do one more setting there, but all right. More questions. In terms of the upgrade, so there was a question in here in regards to the upgrade path. I would refer to the release notes. When Gen 5 is released, there will be a recommended upgrade path. I would, my first, without having the release notes in front of me, going from something like 4.0, I would probably step it and upgrade it to 4.1 first, and then upgrade it to 4.2, and then maybe upgrade it to 5.0. Can you do it from one of those previous generations to the next without skipping? Yeah, you can, but upgrading is pretty simple and easy in Spectrum in terms of being able to come in here. Keep in mind, the upgrade will be here with the updates. It will not show here for several weeks after the release. You'll need to use, the easiest one to use is use the version and password. That'll get the correct update. It'll get the correct version. So, whether you're running it on a Linux or Windows machine, it'll identify which version you need, and you can do an upgrade to the system like I did with this one just the other day. We're expecting the last release version here sometime, hopefully next week.
Yeah, and just one thing, just make sure you create a backup. I mean, you're going from 4.1 to if you're looking to go on to Gen 5, you always want to create a backup. So
exactly. So you do have the ability here in the system administration. This is where you want to go in and create your backup. In terms of, there's a question about cost of DW Cloud. No, there's no cost associated with DW Cloud. It's a component of Spectrum. It's available. It again makes the system so that you can do cloud management of your systems remotely. And the beauty of it is that when I disconnect from this particular system, all the systems that are associated with my email address populate here on the menu tiles, and I can just easily click into that system, and then those same system tiles populate on all my devices. So whether it's my iPad, my iPhone, my work computer, my home computer, all I have to remember is my email address and my password, and on all my devices, I get the ability to log into that. One more thing about that. We'll do another Gen 5 webinar, but one more thing about the update here is that when on Gen 5 is that you will be able to manage your system, so that on the system tile screen here, you see this new feature that you can label your favorites. So it's easy to search for systems. If you've got lots of systems out there, you can hide certain systems, you can view all systems. So it's just as easy as coming in here. Oops, I don't want to log into it. I wanted to hit let's disconnect from that. Let's do this. I will say I'll add that to my favorite. It gets moved right to the front there. You've got the search where you can type in the system name and bring the system up as well, or you can bring those up, so that new login screen. Okay. So I think we've pretty much, so there's a question regarding, yes, the cameras do have IR. And yeah, the cameras on our demo system, you can check them out at night. That's one of the things with our domes, or with anybody's dome, is the curvature of the glass with the IR. That's the reason we have things like our Night Watch product to provide external illumination to where you can turn that off. Also, if it becomes a real issue in some of those areas, you might want to consider something like our Vandal Ball series of cameras, which we'll be doing a webinar here shortly on those as well. Okay. Joe, I think I got everything. Did you see any in there that...
I think all of them, or majority, yeah, I think they've been answered.
All right, well, we appreciate everybody's time. Thank you for joining us. If you have any further questions, let me just go back to our presentation here. So you have both mine and Joe's email address available to you. And reach out to us. We can get you in touch with the person in your area, or try to answer your question. By all means, let us know how we can help you. And we appreciate your time and for joining us here this morning. Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.